Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin was consolidating here in this zone between 3800, 3600. I told you guys this was a critical zone for Bitcoin to hold this 3600. It looked to me like there was a good chance that price was going to end up breaking down to this 3400 to 3250 zone just below here. And I would, if this does happen, I would expect there to be some support here between 3400 and 3250. As of now, I admit I am a little surprised that this is holding as strong as it is. If you remember yesterday, guys, when we were talking, I pointed out that Bitcoin. This is looking on the daily chart. That Bitcoin on the daily has been since November the 13th, so a little over 2 weeks now, has been touching on each one of these daily candles, has touched that bottom Bollinger Band. Now, in and of itself, that's not very significant, but that is one thing that we're watching. When anytime you see a trend like that, and that trend gets broken, it kind of catches your eye. And yesterday was the first day we had a candle that did not at all, a daily candle did not touch that bottom Bollinger Band on the weekly chart here at all. Today, it looks like that is going to be the case again. So this may just be a little temporary stall. Obviously, this doesn't mean anything in and of itself, other than we are breaking this pattern, other than the knife is starting to catch a little bit of support here and not fall, at least not quite as fast. Now, does that mean that we're going to be heading up? No, not necessarily at all. But it is interesting. I think Bitcoin is looking for a bottom. And as of now, it's trying to break back up above this 3,800 zone. As I said, it's been trapped here between 3,800 and 3,600, has been there for quite some time now. We can see that it broke up here, broke back down. It was up above this zone for just about, let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, just about 20 hours or so, and then fell right back in. And it's interesting, if I zoom in here, guys, you can see just how great this support is holding here. Obviously, it's broken through by a wick, but not by a body at all. And also to the upside, that 3,800 resistance now, what was support acted as resistance, and that resistance is very strong now as well. It's been trying to break through, unable to. Price is coming up there now, tapping at the top of that 3,800 ceiling, trying to break through. If we can break through this, and I don't mean by a wick, guys, I mean if we can break through on a 4-hour candle that both opens and closes above 3,800, we may have a temporary excuse me, guys, sorry about that, to clear my throat. We may have a temporary little bull run here. Now, I use that term very, very, very loosely, guys. In other words, we may have maybe a tiny little stop hunt here. I don't even want to call it a short squeeze. As of now, I don't think shorts are stacked quite high enough to merit a short squeeze. If we come over here and we look at, I should say shorts to longs. Shorts are stacking here. There's no question that shorts are stacking. Though looking over at longs, we're only about 15-20%. That gap is only about 15-20%. Shorts outpacing longs at the moment. Usually you get up to about 30%, and that's when you're going to see a massive short squeeze. And like I said, as of right now, guys, it's only about a 15-20% differential between longs and shorts at the current moment. So we'll have to wait and see. Shorts certainly are stacking. Coming over here looking at longs, we can see longs certainly in the last 4 hours, or excuse me, certainly in this last 24 hours have been stacking as well. Not nearly at the pace of shorts, but nonetheless they are stacking there. What I want to see is longs either drop off the board here or start to move sideways, and shorts just start to stack tremendously. And I think we may see that here. What we may see here very, very soon is price come up, liquidate some of these long positions, get rid of some of these long positions off the board. I think once price comes up, hits this area up here between 4150 and 4,000, anywhere in this area, I think this is going to be a good area to short. Anywhere between 4,000 and 4,150 would be a decent area to short, expecting a decent bounce off that zone and coming back down. Now, if we break above 4150, at that point, guys, we break above 4150, I'm going to start to get a little more bullish, start to think that we may very well be in a temporary short squeeze. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out. But what I'm expecting here, if we can get above 3,800, and that's a big if, guys, we're going to have to wait and see if this ceiling holds or not. But if we can break above 3,800, I'm expecting I'm expecting long to drop off the board. I'm expecting short positions to be added up in this zone here between $4,150 to $4,000, somewhere in this zone, guys. Shorts to be added. And if that scenario does play out, guys, it doesn't mean it's going to. So make sure you can't just watch price coming into this zone and say, oh, work and set, if it hits this zone, it's going to come right back down. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if it comes down, hits this zone, and long positions start to start to liquidate. In other words, longs start to take some of their profits as it comes up here, guys. Short positions will more than likely fall off the board a little bit, but I don't think that would be a massive stop. In other words, I think a lot of the short positions went short up here and right here. So if we just hit this zone here, more than likely the stop losses on these, we're going to be up in this area. On short positions are going to be up here at about 4,300, 4,315, somewhere thereabouts. So if we come up here, guys, I think more than likely this is going to be an area where a lot of people are watching to add to their short positions. So if that does happen, they'll come up here, longs start to take some profits, shorts end up adding to their positions, expecting a decent bounce. If that does happen, I would expect a short squeeze to come in pretty quickly. If we come into this zone up here and shorts start to fall off the board, in other words, we trigger some stop losses and longs start to if longs get added, at that point, guys, more than likely, this thing is going to fall right back down. Because what do market makers want to do, guys? Market makers is a zero-sum game, as I always tell you. So they're going for someone to make money, someone has to lose money. So market makers, if it comes up here and longs are stacked, they're going to bring price in the other direction. Conversely, if come up here, short position stacked, everyone's expecting shorts to come back down. Everyone's expecting that bounce off this there and to continuation to this bearish trend down to that $3,000 or $3,400 area. At that point, I think market makers are just going to take this thing right on up. So watch that zone, guys. Be very, very cautious as it hits that zone. Watch your longs and short positions. See what they're doing. That's kind of the tell as far as what directions market makers are going to take this. Now, as I was showing you guys earlier, we are condensing here into this little wedge pattern, lower highs, higher lows. We're just now breaking above that here. It'll be interesting to see if this is that stop hunt that we were talking about. In other words, see if they are coming into this zone, fake everybody out, a major bull trap, and they bring price right back down. And again, that's all going to depend on what shorts and longs do if that does end up breaking up. Now, to the downside, as I told you guys yesterday, if 3,600 does break, I think it'll be a very quick drop here to 3,400 at least, possibly as low as 3,250. There's a fairly decent amount of support in this area, at least temporarily. So I wouldn't expect this thing to drop like a knife as it did up here. I would expect a smaller drop here between 3,600 down to about 3,400 to 3,250, somewhere in this zone. And we'll have to wait and see how price reacts at that area. But I was surprised, guys. As I said, I am surprised by the lack of by the support that it has found at the bottom of 3,600. It's very, very surprising. There's a lot of buyers down in this zone, guys. I would expect this is telling me that if this isn't the bottom, which I right now probability tells me that we do still have more downside. Doesn't mean that has to happen. Just mean probability tells me that we do still have more downside. But it tells me that we're getting close. This is telling me that we are getting close. And I would say, as I told you guys before, $3,000, maybe 3,800, or excuse me, maybe 2,800, 2,620, somewhere there about. Maybe that's the bottom, but really 3,000, guys. 3,000 looks like a very logical place for a bottom at this time, guys. And again, it may already be in. That's certainly possible. I don't think so. I know some people are saying the bottom is near. I think that there's a lot of signs showing the bottom is near, but I would put the bottom somewhere at least in this 3,400 to 3,200 zone, possibly 3,000, maybe even a wicking through 3,000 to that 2,850 zone down here, somewhere in that area. But we're gonna have to watch and wait and see how this kind of ends up playing out, guys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you on Bitcoin. Sorry about that, guys. Keep an eye on this, looking at the weekly chart here. Keeping an eye, and I told you guys this yesterday, keep an eye on this weekly RSI. As soon as this weekly RSI gets oversold, if that does end up happening, if this weekly RSI gets oversold, guys, this is what you're going to want to start to deploy a little bit of fiat, in my opinion, not financial advice. This is what I will be doing, I should say. I'll be flowing a little bit more fiat, dollar cost averaging in. The lower that RSI goes, the heavier I will go in on Bitcoin. So keep an eye on that weekly RSI, guys. I do believe that is key. I do believe there's a lot of people watching that, and that's going to be a very good indicator as far as where the bottom may be. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap Bitcoin there. Coming over to EOS very, very quickly. Looking at EOS, guys, EOS is basically just following Bitcoin. In fact, if I come over here and let me pull up the 4-hour chart here. Yeah, here we go. This is the 4-hour Bitcoin chart. Let me zoom in here. You guys can see a little bit better. You know, you can basically see we've had three major. We had drop, sideways, drop, sideways, drop, sideways. Come over here, look at EOS here. We had three major moves here. We had drop, sideways, drop, sideways, drop, sideways. So really, this chart is just following Bitcoin almost to the T. A little bit more. In other words, when Bitcoin drops, EOS drops to just slightly further, and vice versa. Bitcoin rises, EOS rises just slightly higher. So that is definitely the case right now. It's finding that support level between $3 and 270. I pointed this support out a few days ago. I'm telling you guys as that $4 to 350 support just completely broke down. That range completely broke down. I told you this is where we're likely going to find support here, the $3 to 270 area. Sure enough, broke down, wicked down to about 288, and then found some support. And right now, it's just breaking back above that $3 range. Now it's going to be a very big test. We created a little bit of structure right here, right here and right here. So this area right here is sitting at about $3, and the top of which sits at about $3.21. Call it 320. Yeah, I would expect a reaction at this zone if we can break above it. If price can get above 320, at least on Bitfinex, looking at Bitfinex here, if we can get above 320, guys, at that point this thing may have some temporary legs. We'll have to keep watching it. There's a lot of layers of support all the way up. So if we get above 320, I think it'll be a fairly quick rise up to about 340. If we can get in between 340 and about 349, guys, there's a nice area of resistance as well. And if we can break above that 340 that 348 resistance, I think it'll be a very quick rise to the next level of resistance, which sits at about $3.67, somewhere in this area, guys. This is going to be a little heavier, a little harder to get above. If we can get above 370, 380, call it. If we can get above 380, guys, of course, that's going to be a very, very bullish sign. Now, we're a long way off from that now. Max upside for me today, I'd be very surprised if we did break above 320 at all. We'll have to wait and see. Certainly is possible. I'd be very surprised if it did, though. But if we can break above 320 with consolidation, that's going to be a very big sign of strength, probably the biggest sign of strength we've seen since this thing started falling down. That's what I really want to see. I want to see this area, what was support, came back up. I want to see this area not act as resistance. We can break what was support. If we can break above it, and it starts acting as support again and does not act as resistance, very bullish sign. This thing starts acting as resistance, very bearish sign. We're more than likely very quickly going to drop back down to this $3 to 270 range down here, and more than likely even lower than it prior did here, than we did prior. So more than likely drop to about 270, 275, somewhere thereabouts if we get a big reaction up here. So we're going to be watching this zone, guys, watching to see how price reacts if and when it does get into this area. If you're in this market and you believe in the technology, if you believe in EOS, you believe in Bitcoin, you're going to want to start dollar cost averaging in, guys, because this may not be the bottom. We may have a little bit further to drop. That certainly is possible. Hell, we may have a lot further to drop. But there's no question that this time next year you're going to be looking at these prices and wishing, in my mind, again, not financial advice, but in my mind, in my opinion, there's no question that this time next year you're going to be looking at these prices and wishing to God you had bought at these prices and you had the chance to again. So I would be dollar cost averaging in without question to these coins. Certainly the altcoins you want to be extremely careful about. I do think that once this dust settles on all this, guys, you're going to have a lot of these garbage coins are going to just go by the wayside, no longer exist. A lot of the higher market cap coins that have things going for them, in my opinion, EOS is one of those coins. You guys do your own research. But if you believe in the coin, if you believe in the technology, if you believe in the team behind these, you want to start thinking about dollar cost averaging into some of these altcoins. And I think one of the biggest signals you're going to see as far as knowing that Bitcoin is at the bottom is when you come over here, you pull up coin market cap, you're going in here and you're refreshing it. I think you're going to see Bitcoin starting to spike, 5-10%, somewhere thereabouts. But one of the biggest signals you're going to see is you're going to see a 20, 30, 40% spike on some of these good altcoins. And once you start seeing that, once you start seeing people not just buying Bitcoin, but being willing to jump into these altcoins on a heavier basis, you're going to know that the bottom is very, very likely in for Bitcoin. So keep an eye on that as well. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.